Welcome back to ESBL Boxing's YouTube channel. We are now just a couple of days away from the big fight between Chris Eubank Jr. and Liam Smith. It's nice to have Danny on the call. We're here to discuss the best betting tips around. Danny, thank you for joining me. How are you, first of all?
All's good with me, mate. A bit tired, but still raring to go. Get through some good bets with you.
Cracking on. Okay, cool. It's an intriguing one here because obviously, according to the bookies, Eubank Jr. is the favourite, but there are some people backing Smith here. And yeah, it's a really intriguing fight, and really intriguing to see where people's money is going to go when placing a bet. I know we've got a couple to get through, so I'll hand it over to you. What is your first tip for us for this fight?
I think probably just best way to do it is to sort of start low down the card and then work my way up. So the first one's from the Joseph Parker Jack Massey fight, and it's actually Joseph Parker to win in rounds 1 to 5, which you can get at 3 to 1, which I think's a really big price. I think Parker will be looking to make a statement after the Joyce loss, and I think, with no disrespect to Jack Massey, it's probably the perfect opportunity to do so. You'd imagine Parker would be probably the best part of 2.5 stone heavier in there. And in terms of the level he's boxed at and who he's fought and the titles he's won, there's not really much comparison. So I was actually sort of surprised to see this price as big as it was, because I think if we saw Parker in with like a British level heavyweight, and I know you can't just necessarily take things from that, but say Nathan Gorman, Parker would be sort of pretty heavily favoured to get him out of there quite early. And whilst Massey's never been stopped, I don't think he's boxed anyone who's anywhere near as skilled as Joseph Parker. And the fact it's up at heavyweight, I think the 3 to 1 you can get on that's a really big price.
Yeah, I think so. I think Jack Massey, you'd think he would be in a bit of rude awakening. I think if you're a cruiserweight and you're making your heavyweight debut against a former world champion, it's a pretty big ask to not only win, but to kind of get through the fight as well, you would think. And I think Parker maybe needs a confidence boost after his last fight. So I think that'd be an ideal result for him. So yeah, I'm not going to disagree or slag off that betting tip at all. Move on to the next one, Danny.
The next one comes from the Riakporhe-Glowacki fight. Sort of hard for this one because obviously the odds are sort of overwhelmingly in favour of a Riakporhe KO, which is what I would think will happen. But I mean, if I was sitting here tipping that up at 1 to 8 or whatever it was, I don't think you should be having me on again. So trying to find a bit of value and gone for Riakporhe in the second half of the fight, round 7 to 12, which again you can get at around 3 to 1. Glowacki obviously well past his best. Most recently, we would have probably all saw him with the defeat to Lawrence Coley, and that came in round number 6. And I just don't know if Riakporhe is on the level skill wise of a Coley. Don't get me wrong, I think when he does manage to hit Glowacki clean, that'll probably be the end of it. But Glowacki's quite crafty, and he's good at sort of tucking up low and avoiding big shots early. And he's came back from the Coley loss with a win, a stoppage win, albeit against the lower level opponents. So don't get me wrong, I think it's probably a 50-50 shout whether he makes a pass round 6. But I just think in terms of trying to find a bit of value, the 3 to 1 there is not the worst shout in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're obviously comparisons are going to be made between Okoly's performance against Glowacki and Riakporhe's. Okoly obviously got him out there in 6 rounds. Yeah, I personally think I was quite disappointed with Glowacki against Okoly. And I do think I do rate Riakporhe highly. And it's just, I noticed Glowacki's 36 now. So it's just going to be, it's going to be a really interesting one. I think I'd be tempted to go for an early night's work for Riakporhe personally. But no, we'll go with your tip, but I hate to say it's an intriguing one in terms of when this fight finishes rather than who wins. I think we kind of know who's going to win. It'd be a massive upset if Glowacki won. But yeah, that makes sense. If we just, before we go on to the final one, if you just repeat your betting tips that you've said, mate, just so for anyone who who doesn't quite remember.
Sorry, yeah, Reactor in round 7 to 12. As you said, it sort of depends how much ambition Glowacki comes with as well.
Yeah, exactly, absolutely. I think no, we shall see. We shall see. Okay, moving on to the main event. One I'm really looking forward to: Eubank Jr. versus Liam Smith. What is your betting tip for this fight?
Nice and simple with this one. No pros. I'm just going Liam Smith to win the fight, which you can get at 15 to 8. There's some bigger prices obviously available at the decision or a late stoppage, which is what I imagine people would be leaning towards if they were picking Smith. I just think it's a really good price on Smith. I think if Eubank was to come through, and that would probably be his best win. I know De Gale's a better win on paper, but he had very, very little left in that fight. And I've said it. I think I've done a couple of previews in this fight, and I'll just keep repeating what I've said. I've not been impressed with Eubank's new style under Roy Jones. I watched the gloves are off there the other day, and Smith was saying that he hopes and prays Eubank comes in with that style, and I think if he does, he'll get beat by Smith. I think if he sort of reverts more to type, if he's able to revert to type, we don't know. We've not seen it in a while, and he's obviously a lot older now. But if he is able to sort of revert to his old style of fighting, when it was sort of high output, lots of punches, great cardio, then I think I would probably edge him over Smith. But I don't think he'll do that. At least certainly not for the first 4 or 5 rounds until maybe he's forced to do it. And at that point, the fight could be halfway from him. And as I've said before, Liam Smith, on his days, one of the best pressure fighters in the country, and I fancy him to get the job done against Eubank. I really do. And as I say, that's available 15 to 8. You can get with Sky Bet Liam Smith just to win the fight.
Yeah, good stuff. I think it's one of those. I feel like when this fight was announced, I felt there were some people who were maybe a bit disappointed, and some people just kind of assumed that this was going to be a straightforward / easy win for Eubank Jr. But I think as we've kind of developed with gloves are off have come out and people have analysed the fight a bit more, I think more and more people, maybe not leaning towards Liam Smith, but saying, look, this is actually a very competitive fight. This is a 50-50 fight. Liam Smith's a live dog in that fight. And I just think if you look at Liam Smith's arguably in the form of his career, if you look at his last 3 fights or so, in facing good fighters, he's had very good performances. So I personally, it's a bit ironic I'm saying this in this show. It's whoever's putting money on this, you're a brave person to be doing that, because it'd be quite the easy option just to kind of stay away from it, because I think it is unpredictable. But it's a really tricky one. I can see it going anyway. I don't see Liam Smith stopping Eubank Jr. personally. I can see a points win either way, or I can see Eubank possibly stopping Liam Smith late on. But yeah, it's all up in the air. But yeah, this is kind of what we love as boxing fans. One final one from me, Danny. I don't know why I've got an obsession with knockdowns. When it comes to big fights, you can bet on how many knockdowns are going to happen. Not looking at odds, how many knockdowns would you bet on in this fight? Actually, I will give you the odds. 0 knockdowns is 6-5. 1 knockdown is 7-4. 2 knockdowns is 4-1. Out of those options, what one would you go for?
Did you say 0 was 6-5 and 1 was 7-4?
Yeah, and 2 is 4-1. I can give you the other options if you want as well. If you want to go for multiple knockdowns,
mate, that's a nightmare. It's so hard to pick. Gun to my head, I would probably go none.
Yeah.
Even if there is a stoppage, I don't know. I could see a stoppage sort of against the ropes, and then that obviously you don't get a knockdown for that in terms of betting, as far as I know. I think both fighters' way to victory is probably slightly more favoured to be points, so probably go 1. But as you say, I mean, anything could happen. That 2 at 4-1 would tempt me. The 1 at 7-4 would tempt me. It's tough.
It's a tricky one. I've had a decent success rate with betting on 0 knockdowns. I think I did that for Chisora Pulev. Did it for one of the Canelo fights. I think Canelo Golovkin. the final fight, you'd be surprised at how good the odds are consistently for 0 knockdowns and how often you can win. Fury Chisora 3, again, 0 Fury won by stoppage, but we didn't see a knockdown. So actually, I mean, little tip, you can actually, a lot of the time you'll find you'll get a good value for betting on 0 knockdowns. Anyway, we'll see if that happens. I'm not against that 6-5 for there to be 0 knockdowns in that fight. That's probably my betting tip if I was to contribute something to this. Danny, that's it for us. But yeah, stacked card in Manchester, full of kind of decent odds there. I'm not going to say, I think we know what's going to happen in some of the undercard fights, but it's kind of betting on what exactly is going to happen is a tricky thing to do. But yeah, thank you for your time, and yeah, we'll definitely speak to you again soon. Okay.